Howdy everybody, and welcome back to Dave's Old Iron, where today we're going to be attacking the Allis Chalmers CA. Yes, we are. We're going to be taking the front end loader off of the old girl today, pulling it ahead, and Dale, my buddy that owns this place, was kind enough to drag it back a little bit so we could get at it and work on it today. Anyway, beautiful day, Saturday the 9th of May, 2026, and let's get with it. First thing I'm going to do today, though, before I start wrenching on this, is hit all the nuts and bolts and stuff that's holding this on with a little spray slickum. Hey, you know what I think I'll do? One of the first things is salvage the crank out of this thing, the crank handle, put it up on top of the hood so I remember to take it with me, and then I think we're going to try to undo these two bolts going into the cultivator bosses on the front of the casting here for the steering gear, and then undo these two bolts down here lower if I need to, because I think those bolt into that deal that keeps the axle from wobbling too far. So I think that'll be our first go. Get the breaker bar on there and see if there we go, 15/16 will do it. Yeah, might need a cheater bar on this one. And if I can't get it loose, we're going to go for a ride around the place, see if we can't find a piece of pipe or something that we can use as a cheater bar. Okay, what I ended up doing with that real long bolt is I just cut it off with my cutoff wheel on an angle grinder, and the rest of the bolt I broke loose with the breaker bar on the 5/16 or 15/16, sorry, socket. So we'll proceed to getting this all unscrewed here. I know cutting those off would have been a lot faster, but then I'd had buggered up holes here where these two bolts go into that front nose casting, and I don't really want to have to drill those out if I don't have to, if you know what I mean. So we'll undo this, and then I'll get back to you when I get those out or close to being out. Yeah. Now you probably can't see that nut right there too well. Yeah, you can probably see it. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to try to, that's the one that had the real long bolt on it. So let me switch over to the breaker bar on that socket. No, we need a bigger socket. That's a bigger nut. Let's see. Try an 1 1/16 on that. Yep. Okay. Put that on the little breaker bar I got here with that kit that I just bought. Let's see if we can't get it loose. Got the rest of them loose. Without a cheater bar, maybe this one's going to be the different one. Yeah, let's see if I put my weight into it on the other end. Oh, there we go. Hey, looky there. Broke it loose without having to go get a cheater bar. That's good for a couple of reasons. One is I didn't want to have to climb back in the pickup and go drive around looking for a cheater bar. And two, if that's coming apart that easy, that means I'm not going to have any screwed up threads as far as I know on this deal. Yeah, so that's a win-win. Now what I'm going to have to do is pry this plate off over the front of it, tip it out away from the front axle there, and I'll have to get a pipe wrench or something on that bolt and see if we can unscrew it, but that'll be a project for later on, I do believe. If not, well, we'll cut that thing off. I'd really rather not to. I'd rather leave it there so I got something to grab a hold of and twist and wrench. Now there come some of our fly boys. Now you can see them. There they go. Yeah. While I'm wrenching on this thing, I might as well take this loose here. It supports the extra loader frame that's underneath the motor, but it also deals with the hydraulic assembly for the tie rod that's up here, the drag link, I'm sorry, that goes from this steering arm down to the front end. So we're going to pull both of these loose. Well, there's one on each side. This one's the one that's got the hydraulic cylinder deal on it. So we'll get this loose and off. and we'll see what happens. Well, there's one down. I'll get the bottom one off, which is about there anyway. It is. There we go. Okay, so this plate right there is now unbolted from the tractor, and that plate goes down to a cross support for the loader assembly. Now that the front's loose and the other side's loose, we'll get this side undone. Leave that in just a little bit in case it drops. That one's either holding a bunch of weight or it's really rusty down in there. Yep, it's holding weight. Get a better angle on it here so I can wrench on it. Somebody sure cobbled up this loader on this thing. I don't know what they were trying to load, but whatever it was a bunch of something for all the reinforcements they put on it. Okay, there's that bolt out, and I'll get this bolt out. Hopefully the thing won't drop too far, which it did drop, not real far. There. Okay. Now, if I had a pry bar out here, you'd maybe bend that front plate forwards enough to get it over that bolt, but I don't. So we will undo the next part. I'm going to have to cut this angle iron brace out of here to help get the axle around it. I think if I can drop that, cut that off, and it'll drop down, then we can lift the front of the tractor carefully after we get everything else loose and slide the deal forwards and maybe get it out from there or backwards or something. Anyway, I'm going to cut that apart right now. Yeah, let's see if that's cut through enough to wiggle it and break it loose. Yep. There we go. Okay. That's off of there. I took one of those pieces of angle iron that I cut loose and got to prying on this thing against the front axle there. And I got it pried loose. It just hasn't dropped down onto the deck all the way. There's still something holding it up, but that's okay. It's loose, and I'd prefer to leave that bolt in there instead of having somebody cut it off, so I can get on it with a wrench and twist that out of that casting, so I don't have a plugged up hole and have to diddle fart around with cutting it out or tapping it and, you know what I mean, backing that out of there. That's going to be a real nightmare. So I'm glad we left that piece of bolt sticking out right there. I think the next thing I'm going to do is take an angle grinder to this right here, this U-bolt, and cut it loose of the axle. Probably ought to cut it loose over on this side. It's not touching the axle over here, and there is a mounting boss for something, some implement back here that'll have to swing around and over. So Yeah, I think we're going to cut that back here and do the same on the other side. Oops, that's starting to cut into the casting back there. That's no bueno. I think that's probably about as far as I dare go there. Doing that, yep, I think so. I didn't cut into that casting too badly, but I did cut it. Maybe I can get it from this way. Yep. Come on. There we go. Yeah, that popped it loose. Here's that cut I put in that housing. It wasn't too bad on either spot, so a little bit of GB weld or something can stuff in there and fill that up, and yeah, nobody will ever notice it was there. Now all I got to do is hope my cutter wheel holds up long enough to cut through that U-bolt on the other side of the tractor. Yeah, then that whole loader assembly can drop down and maybe slide off to the front, as long as I can get that front axle through all that dangle iron that's welded on there. Okay, this piece has kind of a pin on it, and the pin goes in the end of that tube for the loader. And you set that, or mounted this piece on under the axle, and then once you got it in position where you wanted it, you slid that tube on over the end of this thing. It's kind of tapered there, and that's what held it onto the back end, and then you bolted it on up the front here somewhere. Yeah, and that's what held the rest of the front end on. Now the only other thing we're going to have to probably do is take a blue wrench and cut this brace out that runs between the two arms, support arms of the loader, and we may have to cut these verticals off. That way everything will drop down far enough that part can be pulled out from underneath the tractor, forwards or backwards. And then with this piece out of here, right there, and we're going to have to cut bolts, I think, there and on the other side to drop it loose of this regular cross arm for the loader. And then that whole piece should be able to pull out the front there that had the bolts holding it onto the front end of the tractor. Once that's done, then it looks like maybe all we have to do is just pull the tractor back a bit and flip these arms up and over the front of the tractor, or pull the tractor out completely out from underneath it, and then it'll be free of this loader mess. And looking at all the hydraulic mess for this loader reminds me I forgot to bring a bucket to dump all that oil into. Oh joy. That's nothing too bad though. That's just another 30-mile round trip to go get a bucket to dump this oil into out of the hydraulic system. Oh well, I forgot that, and that drag link rod. So yeah, I can't do much with the hydraulic steering on this thing either today. So maybe we'll be back here again tomorrow. So for most all purposes right now, the loader is loose of the tractor, other than some of that hydraulic steering stuff next door. Yeah, we'll have to get that other drag link over here and undo that, and then, like I said, drain all the hydraulics, and yeah, then we can push and pull and the thing will come apart, and that'll be into the loader on this tractor. One more thing we're going to do while I'm here is see if we can't break these castellated nuts loose. There we go, on the drag link here with the hydraulic arm on it, so we can get that loose and off. I should have probably pulled this off before I loosened up the loader, because at the back end, let me grab you here right quick. You can see what the problem is. We're up against the loader frame. Unless I can get that pulled over, that ball joint won't come out of that hole. We can go ahead and undo this castellated nut on here. I'm going to leave it though, so we can beat on it to get the bolt out, so we aren't rounding the bolt over and then making it like a rivet and we can't get it out of that steering arm. So yeah, we're going to leave the nut on it just like that for now and take a hammer and pound it loose, but I'll spray some slickum on it in the meantime and hopefully that'll help loosen it up a bit. I grabbed one of those pieces of angle iron and stuck in there and wedged that over so this dropped down a little bit more, so now we can get in here and knock this tie rod end loose too and get rid of all that hydraulic stuff right there. Yeah, I don't know if this pick it up, but here on the transmission and the boss here stamped on here, it says CA 30122. Pretty sure that's the last. Yeah, CA 30122. Yep. So that's the actual serial number of this tractor. So that'll determine what we're going to do, whether it be a pin hitch or a snap coupler. I wanted to know what the serial number was so I could look the year up of this thing once again, because I forgot what it was. But it was built the year prior to the snap coupler coming out of standard equipment on the thing. It just has a pin hitch on it. So I think that's the year. I got to double check that. Don't know if I'll put a snap coupler on it or not, or if I'll just find a set of two bottom one-way mounted plows to pin hitch on this thing and just leave them on it and just use this tractor for plowing at the tractor pulls and plow competitions. Yeah, not the tractor pulls. It can't pull the plow on, but yeah, you know what I mean. Well, that's going to do it for today. Since I forgot the bucket to put all the oil into and that drag link arm to replace the one that's on it, get rid of all the hydraulics and that sort of thing off the tractor. Can't do that without that bucket to drain all the oil into, and a few other little parts and pieces like that. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. The balance of getting this loader off of here will be another day and another video. So hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up down there right below there, and if you would, I'd appreciate it if you would all subscribe to the channel. While it's warm in summertime, we're going to be playing with more old iron and doing tractor pulls and tractor shows. In fact, we have a tractor pull coming up with the club this month and probably another week or two from today when you're seeing this, or when I'm filming it. So yeah, anyway, we'll see you probably then, and then we'll be back pulling the loader off of this little jewel. Till then, I'm Dave with Dave's Old Iron, wishing you all well. Y'all be careful, y'all be safe, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Thanks now, and y'all have a good one. Bye-bye for now.